And the manager just says, "What's going on here?" And this woman said, "She won't let us sit down. We want to go and sit down." And I said, "But Mr. Batten," that was his name, Batten. I said, "It's Hitchcock." You know.
Carol Burnett spent a lifetime making America laugh through the Carol Burnett Show and the eyes of the public. She was always the embodiment of kindness and grace, a woman who seemingly never held a grudge against anyone. Fans believed her generosity of spirit was limitless. But in her 90s, Carol revealed a truth that stunned everyone. There were men she genuinely hated. These were men who humiliated her in public, belittled her behind the scenes, and even tried to steal the creative work that built her name and legacy. Who were they? And what could push a woman known for her warmth and composure into carrying resentment for an entire lifetime? Number 1. Cary Grant. It's the one name most refused to believe could appear there. Cary Grant, the polished gentleman of Hollywood, the embodiment of charm, sophistication, flawless suits, and perfect diction. Yet behind that image was a moment Carol would never forget. She still remembered the night he cut her down in front of the most powerful room in the industry. It was 1968, at an elegant gala at the Beverly Hilton, the kind of event where everyone smiled, praised one another, and pretended to be devoted friends. Carol had just become America's comedic sweetheart. Cary Grant, meanwhile, sat at the center table like royalty, about to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award. What happened that night would leave a lasting mark on Carol Burnett, one she carried with her for the rest of her life. When the ceremony ended, Carol walked over to congratulate Cary Grant. She looked radiant, relaxed, and completely unaware of the storm she was about to step into. A director standing next to Grant tried to start a friendly conversation. He joked, "Cary, you've seen Carol's show, right? She's got the whole country laughing." Grant didn't miss a beat. He smirked and spoke loud enough for several tables to hear. "Laughing at what?" Waving her arms around, making faces. "I don't understand why people find that appealing." Carol froze. She wasn't thin-skinned, she had been heckled before, but this was a screen legend mocking her craft publicly. She maintained her poise, as she always did. But as she turned to walk away, Grant leaned toward Elizabeth Taylor and delivered the line that would forever cement his place on Carol's blacklist. "She's not a real actress. She's just a housewife who got lucky." Cruelty wrapped in elegance. Carol didn't argue. She didn't have to. Hollywood buzzed about that night for months. Carol later told a close friend, "I didn't hate him for disliking my comedy. I hated that he said it to humiliate me." 2 years later, Paramount offered her a chance to co-star with Grant in a musical comedy. She refused immediately. Her team insisted it was a career-making opportunity. But for Carol Burnett, some boundaries, once crossed, could never be erased. Carol always said the same 7 words whenever the topic came up: "I won't work with a man who belittles women." Grant never apologized, and Carol never softened. But the story of grudges didn't end there. Number 2. Marlon Brando. Personal blacklist was a name no one expected. Marlon Brando. Yes, Marlon Brando, the legendary actor, a towering icon of Hollywood. He was the one who crossed a line Carol could never forgive. After an incident that left her deeply disrespected and humiliated, she made a firm decision. She would never stand in the same room with him again for the rest of her life. What really happened between these two giants of entertainment? And why was the wound so deep that time could never heal it? The answers are guaranteed to shock you. Whenever people hear this part of Carol Burnett's story, they all react the same way. Wait. Brando. What did he possibly do? The truth is far worse than the rumors ever suggested. It all happened in the summer of 1972, just months after The Godfather had turned Marlon Brando into a near-mythical figure in Hollywood, an actor so powerful he seemed untouchable. Late one night, Carol was asleep at home when her housekeeper shook her awake. The phone had been ringing non-stop. Groggy, Carol picked up the receiver and immediately heard a slow, amused voice on the other end. She recognized it instantly. "Carol, this is Marlon Brando. I've been watching you." At first, she laughed, convinced it had to be a prank. Brando was known for jokes, and Hollywood was full of impressions. Then he said something that wiped the smile right off her face. He told her she would be even better if she loosened up, like the actresses he had spent time with. It wasn't a compliment. It was a loaded remark, something a powerful man said when he believed there would be no consequences. Carol ended the call as politely as she could, but when she hung up, she was visibly shaken. The real shock came the next morning. A reporter from The Hollywood Reporter contacted her publicist, claiming that Brando had spoken glowingly about Carol's femininity during a late-night conversation. Someone had leaked the story. Carol was blindsided, and Brando only made things worse. When a journalist later asked him if the rumor was true, he smirked and brushed it off, saying, "She took it too seriously." That moment sealed it. What he treated as a joke became a lasting wound Carol Burnett would never forgive. Comedians are sensitive women. That single line was the moment Carol realized she wasn't facing admiration at all, it was condescension. She understood then that she wasn't being respected as an artist, but reduced to a punchline. 2 days later, she confided in a close friend, "I felt small, and I've spent my entire life fighting not to feel small." From that moment on, Carol set a firm, unbreakable rule with her PR team. If Brando is attending, I'm not. And she meant it. She honored that rule for the next 30 years. Number 3. Lorne Michaels, the influential power broker who managed to shut Carol out for an astonishing 50 years. How did Carol Burnett and Lorne Michaels become adversaries without ever sharing a stage? The answer is neither pretty nor rooted in professional courtesy. Their conflict started with a single brutal phrase that Carol heard about him, and she never forgave. The year was 1975, the same year Saturday Night Live premiered. Carol was still ruling CBS with the Carol Burnett Show, and critics widely agreed, if anyone deserved to host SNL, it was Carol. But that dream never made it to air. It wasn't because Carol wasn't interested, and it wasn't because of scheduling conflicts. The real reason happened during a private meeting inside NBC. During a pitch session for Season 2, an editor suggested plainly, "What about Carol Burnett? She'd be historic." According to accounts, Lorne leaned back, shook his head, and delivered a line that spread through the network like wildfire. "Not her. She's the face of old television. Over my dead body." Harsh. Absolutely. And he didn't stop there. A staff member later recalled Lorne adding, "Her kind of comedy makes us look outdated. SNL isn't a retirement home." Those words reached Carol within days. She didn't explode. She didn't confront him. She didn't demand a public correction. Instead, she carried the sting silently, but the wound would shape her relationship with Hollywood power forever. Carol's response was simple, but chilling, ice-cold silence. She didn't need to argue or raise her voice. Later, in private, she confided to a friend, "I spent my whole life opening doors for women in comedy. He slammed one shut without even meeting me." Over the decades, the feud with Lorne Michaels grew stranger. NBC even tried to include Carol in their 10th anniversary special. Lorne rejected the idea with a handwritten note, "Not relevant, not funny, not happening." Carol never saw the note herself, but hearing about it was enough. By 2023, when asked if she regretted never hosting SNL, she simply smiled and said, "They didn't need me, and I learned I didn't need them either." That was Carol's version of a final punch, and the relationship was never repaired. Number 4. Harvey Korman. Private List was Harvey Korman, the trusted partner who broke her heart on set. Harvey had long been seen as the perfect comedic counterpart. Audiences adored their chemistry, and Hollywood assumed the bond between them was unshakable. Carol believed it too, until one afternoon in 1974, when Harvey revealed a bitterness she never expected. The confrontation occurred during a routine rehearsal at Studio 33, a day that should have been entirely ordinary. Petula Clark had just finished a run-through, the lighting crew was adjusting positions, and Harvey was preparing for a comedic sketch he had performed countless times before. But that day, something in Harvey snapped, exposing a side of him Carol had never seen, and it would leave a mark that lasted far beyond the stage. A small lighting error was all it took to ignite something far uglier. Harvey Korman slammed his script onto the floor and barked at the crew. "How hard is it to do this right? I'm tired of cleaning up her mistakes." Carol heard every word. He wasn't talking about a light. He was talking about her, his friend, his partner, the woman who had given him the stage that made him a household name. The room fell silent. Carol didn't show anger, only shock. She approached him with the calm of someone trying not to break in front of her team and said softly, "Harvey, why would you speak to them like that?" But Harvey didn't back down. His voice grew sharp, resentful. "Maybe I'm done being second on the Carol Burnett show." That sentence cut deeper than any shouting could. It revealed a jealousy Carol had never imagined he could feel. She stepped away, retreating to her dressing room, locking the door behind her, and quietly cried. 3 days later, Harvey returned with an apology, telling her, "I forgot why I started doing comedy." Carol accepted it. Kindness was in her nature, but confided to Vicki Lawrence afterward, "Forgiving him didn't fix what broke." The show went on, but their friendship did not. Number 5. Carol Burnett's list was Joe Hamilton, the husband who betrayed her from within her own home. The world knew him as her husband, her producer, and her partner in building one of television's most beloved shows. But Carol eventually discovered that he was quietly rewriting her legacy without her consent. The drama began in 1982, long after cracks had appeared in their marriage. It all came to light when Carol's lawyer noticed something unusual while reviewing paperwork, an unsettling revelation that would change everything she thought she knew about the man closest to her. Joe Hamilton had quietly registered a new company, Hamilton Productions, and placed under it several spin-off ideas that had been created from sketches on the Carol Burnett show. One of them, Mama's Family, was entirely based on Carol's signature character. Yet Carol's name appeared nowhere. No co-owner, no creator credit, no acknowledgement at all. When she confronted him in their CBS office, expecting at least a misunderstanding, Joe didn't deny a thing. He leaned back, folded his arms, and delivered the line she would later repeat to friends exactly as it had been said. "You're the talent. I'm the brain. I know how to handle business." It wasn't just arrogance, it was a confession. Joe had been planning to separate his financial future from hers while continuing to profit from her creations. Carol told Vicki Lawrence afterward, "It felt like he'd taken my heart and stamped a logo on it." But the real blow hadn't come yet. Weeks later, she overheard 2 CBS employees whispering in a hallway about Joe's new life with a younger editor he'd been seen dining with at the Showhouse restaurant. It wasn't the infidelity that shattered her, it was realizing it wasn't new. The affair had been going on for years, all while Carol carried the weight of the show and their family. That night, she sat alone at her dining table and said the truth aloud to herself, "I don't recognize the man I married." The divorce filing followed shortly after. Joe fought aggressively for ownership of Carol's work, insisting he deserved profits from the very show she had built from scratch, a battle that would leave lasting scars on her personally and professionally. The court battle with Joe Hamilton dragged on for nearly a year, draining Carol emotionally and professionally. When Joe passed away in 1991, she didn't attend the funeral. Instead, she sent white flowers and a note that read, "I wish you peace." Privately, however, she admitted, "Some wounds don't heal with time. They just settle." Carol Burnett gave the world laughter, joy, and unforgettable moments on screen, but these 5 men left her carrying scars she never revealed on camera. After everything you've heard, which betrayal do you think cut her the deepest? The ones closest to her heart, the men who crossed lines she never imagined would be crossed. Her story reminds us that even legends, icons, and comedians who make the world laugh carry hidden pain behind the curtain. If you want more untold truths from Hollywood's brightest stars, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. You won't believe some of the stories waiting to be told.